This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Samsung Galaxy Watch 7. Looks just like the Watch 6, but stuff has changed inside, happily. I mean, 2024 is the year of iterative tech updates, right? So the stuff inside is what's important, and it's fine that they didn't redesign the outside because it's a nice looking watch. It's a lightweight watch. Aluminum, sapphire glass, that hasn't changed. The quick release bands, one button release is still there that we saw from the last generation. That's a good thing as well. Samsung Pay on the watch, a whole lot of trackable exercise types. And we're going to look at it now. All right, so Samsung also announced two other wearable products that we are not obviously reviewing at the moment. There is the Galaxy Watch Ultra, and I know some of you Samsung fanboys are just gonna like lead them in, I say, but yes, sure, obviously it's kind of Apple Watch Ultra derivative. Why should Apple have a high-end titanium cased, bigger face watch that's more water resistant and Samsung doesn't, they figure, and it costs $650, so twice as much. This still starts at $300, and it's $50 more if you want to add LTE on. So we're glad that there's no price increase. So that exists too. And they introduced a health ring too. And the new bands, the look for this year is, again, it's Apple derivative, let's face it, for the Apple Watch Ultra kind of bands. And in some cases, I think they did a nice job. These are nice looking bands. The only one that doesn't impress me is the fabric band, which is the one they're giving away as a freebie if you pre-ordered one of these. And that thing is like medical gauze. I don't know. It's not very impressive. But the stock band that it comes with, the sport band here, I like this one a lot. And the good news is, this is the 40 millimeter. I'm not the biggest boned 5'10" woman, right? The small / medium-sized band is actually gets small enough to fit me. In the older days of Samsung smartwatches and on the Android ones, they just ran way too big for women, honestly. So, yay, we have that now. So two sizes again, 40 and 44 millimeter, nothing new there. Our biggest competitor is the Pixel Watch, and well, you know, we'll see what comes in August 13th of this year. We're going to see a new one again to see if it offers stuff to compete with this. It has that pretty smooth pebble kind of design that I like a lot. But honestly, the features on this, particularly the health features and stuff, are still, well, the best. It is running Wear OS 5 with OneUI 6. So when I talk about those health features, Samsung Health app is actually pretty good, and most everything will work on Android phones that are not Samsung phones. There's a few features that they hold back, but people have found ways to load the software and get it working on other brands. If you're a tinker, geeky person, something like that, with a different brand phone, you might get them working. But anyway, we have the ECG on board with AFib notification, which never works for me. Maybe it works for everybody else in the world, probably, but yeah. We have some new stuff besides the usual things like, obviously it's going to keep track of your pulse when you're exercising, when you're not exercising, that sort of thing. Glycation index, ages index, how much byproducts of combustion in the human body essentially that you have, which indicates your biological age. I'm not finding that so probably accurate right now, and I know other folks on forums have said the same thing, but obviously I'm not the youngest camper anymore, but I'm super fit, have really nice low blood sugar, eat healthy, all that stuff, biologically younger than my age, and it's like, yeah, you know, you're a middle to above middle range, where lower is better, higher is worse, even though they don't really tell you that in the little UI, and they should. So this is kind of typical of Samsung. They introduce some new health features, but don't always expect them to work. Sleep tracking has gotten better. It's not perfect. No over-the-counter, you're not in a sleep study kind of watch is ever that good, but at this point I would say it's pretty accurate. It does not know how to classify my I got up to yell at the cat for howling in the night moments yet, but how is a watch supposed to understand what is going on there? But that stuff is good. The heart rate tracking when exercising is quite accurate when you compare it to a heart strap or any other higher end brand of fitness thing. The watch supports so many exercise types. I just love it. You think you have obscure sports taste? That's okay. This watch is ready for you. So that's a nice thing. We have dual band GPS, which is new now too, for better accuracy. Because one thing Samsung watches were not so great at, especially if you live in urban canyons, you know, and you're running in between high buildings, is run tracking, and you look at the result. It's gotten a little bit better. You can still see like wobbly lines, like, no, I was not that drunk when I was running or something like that, but every little bit helps there. Also, auto detection of walking, particularly, it's really good at. Beats the Apple Watch on that. Boy, it is on it, and it knows to stop right away too, where the Apple Watch is kind of like 5 minutes after you got home, you forgot to turn that thing off, and finally it says, oh, did you stop walking? You know, this one knows right away. That's good. For auto detecting other exercise types, like elliptical machines and stuff, yeah, not quite as good. But honestly, among smartwatches that are not purpose-built Fitbit sort of fitness bands, it's still among the best in Android, and it's only getting better. We also have improved speed, something that is important because the Android Wear watches have never seemed as fast as Apple Watches, for example, or obviously something like Fitbits. They're running a different, simpler OS. They don't have to be bogged down with all the notifications and everything else that these are doing. But the W1000 Samsung Exynos CPU, many cores on board. They say it's like 3x faster than the Watch 6 is, 30% more power efficient, all that sort of thing. It feels more responsive. Boot up time is like twice as fast should you shut your watch off and reboot it every once in a while, but just day-to-day use does feel faster. Battery capacity is the same, 300 milliamp for the 40 and 425 milliamp for the 44 millimeter. And Samsung said to expect better battery life, but no, I'm sorry, no. Obviously, the first 2 days, I don't know, you know, it's just like your phone. It's optimizing, it's downloading stuff. I don't count the first 2 days, but the battery life is about the same as the previous generation, which is to say they need to do better because we're looking at about 24-hour of use time. So if you want to do sleep tracking as well, which is something that this is pretty good at and useful, and that's with an hour of exercise, not using the GPS indoor kind of exercise, which would really tank battery life further, having the always-on display on. Yes, you can turn off these features, and then why are you paying for the nice fancy Samsung watch if you're going to turn these things off, right? We have fall detection, which is a thing now with watches. We also have something that Apple introduced with their most recent Apple Watch, which is this gesture here to dismiss dialogues. Yes, this one can do it too. You can even launch an app by making a fist and going with your watch. Cool. You can also detect sleep apnea. We've seen sleep apnea on Samsung phones. Basically, it uses the microphone to listen to you snoring. So it tries to do the same, and it looks at your blood oxygenation levels too. So it can correlate those together. Because some people can snore and not really ever drop their blood oxygen level, which is the important thing. It does monitor blood oxygen level, even if you don't care about sleep apnea. And it's, you know, it's a challenge with these things because you move around, they move off your wrist some, readings are not always so accurate. I know my blood oxygen probably didn't drop to 84% while I was sleeping, but there it is. Again, for a consumer product, it does the job pretty well. One thing I do like the idea of, as they become more Fitbit-like with their software, which is good because, well, obviously Pixels are doing the same thing, introducing that kind of software, is you have a daily energy score. You know, you wake up and you're like, man, I don't feel that awesome. And you go and you work out and you're like, wow, that was not my best. Why is this? It looks basically your sleep score, how much you exercised before, all the metrics, and gives you an energy score each day. So it can help sometimes when you're feeling kind of not right, like, is it just in my head or not? I mean, I guess that's probably the biggest use for this sort of thing. And if you're feeling like truly crappy and you look at your energy score, you might say, yeah, it agrees with me. Maybe I'd take a day off from exercising today. So that's it, the Samsung Galaxy Watch 7 for 2024. As ever, one of the best for Android, no doubt. It's still a good-looking watch, lightweight, available in 2 sizes, and relatively speaking, affordable, especially now that you look at that Ultra model that's out there for twice as much money. And this has pretty much all the features. It's just not a big titanium case with a bigger watch face, and 10 atmospheres of water resistance instead of 5. So yes, you can go diving and swimming with this thing. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and double pinch if you like this vid.